Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, which is being sponsored by SUSE. Please note all attendees are going to remain muted throughout this webinar. So if you do have any questions, please do use the Q&A facility. It's on the bottom toolbar of your screen, or if you're viewing in full screen, you can advance at the top. As you may have heard just now, the webinar is being recorded, so you can access this in the UKI resource library post-event. And if you have dialed in as a guest, you can view more information about membership with the user group by getting in touch with myself or by following the link on screen. I'll be happy to put you in the right direction. At the end of the session, you'll be taken to complete a very short survey. Your feedback's important. It shouldn't take you longer than 30 seconds or so to complete, and it does allow us to continue improving your experience on these virtual webinars. At the end of the month, just over 2 weeks away now, we're delighted to bring you back to our award-winning conference, UK ISO Connect, in Birmingham. So we're looking forward to returning, and you can see today's sponsors, SUSE, there on stand S17 in the hall as well. So I'm sure they'll be happy to welcome you back. Always got some good things going on over there, so do be sure to visit those guys. With that being said, I'm now going to hand over to Alan Clark from SUSE to kick things off, and I hope you all enjoy. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you very much, Jacob, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this session today. I hope you're going to find it of use. Just checking again, Jacob, can you see that screen? Just want to make sure everyone can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, thanks very much. Okay. So yes, hi, I'm Alan Clark, SAP Alliance Director for SUSE, and I've been in this arena for the last 9+ years at SUSE, so it's a very familiar territory, and it's great to be doing all the activities we are with the user group. Looking forward to very much to connect, and yes, do please come and see us. It'd be great to have a chat face to face after so long. But today, just want to try and run you through some key things to consider when transforming or migrating to S4 HANA. So SAP's application platform has evolved to enable transforming operations to meet the changing needs of your business, and this intelligent enterprise strategy is about applying advanced technologies and best practices within agile and integrated business processes, and this then makes the business resilient, successful, sustainable, hopefully. It also enables you to combine your customer and employee sentiment and operational data in real time, so you can understand how to improve your business operations, product offerings, services, and customer experience. Helps you to analyze your business data, to anticipate new requirements, rapidly deliver new products and services to keep your customers happy whilst hopefully attracting new business. But it also gives you the flexibility to take advantage of the newest technologies, the latest technologies like AI, machine learning, IoT, for even greater insight into business operations and processes, thus giving you the opportunity to lead your industry, your sector with automation, with predictive analysis and improved efficiency. Now, you might think that now may not be the time to change your operations, but obviously taking steps to improve your forecasting, strengthen the supply chain and deliver the products and services your customers need could be how your organization survives the current fluctuating and volatile economy, shall we say, and then hopefully thrives when it recovers. And that the S4 HANA solution set gives you the tools to address these business challenges, as you may well know, but you still got to consider how this impacts your IT infrastructure. Now, S4 HANA gives you the tools to address this, as I say, these challenges, but you can't implement them if the IT service infrastructure supporting your SAP landscape is so inflexible that it, for instance, takes weeks or even months to deliver the service. And if a competitor delivers the service first, you could lose out. So, for example, SAP Ariba can help you manage the supply chain, but you can still face production slowdowns or stoppages and expedited shipping costs to recover if the data required to make those procurement decisions is late or missing due to poor system performance or outages. And a 2019 Forrester report, an economic impact study, estimates that for every application outage 150 employees are affected. And in that example, a customer running legacy systems before implementing S4HANA experienced as many as 17 outages a day, in this case resulting in a lost productivity cost of just under $2 million, risk adjusted obviously, because this was 2019. So consumers who frequently can't access information about your products and services can become frustrated and will not only find alternatives, but will also probably not hesitate to write something negative review-wise and share it on social media, and this could be an impact on your reputation. So when choosing an infrastructure for your SAP HANA, S4HANA systems, you've got to consider one that supports your business and your IT operations. And firstly, ensuring productivity. So becoming an intelligent enterprise requires an IT infrastructure that is going to deliver the data and analytics your business lines need quickly and reliably. And that means high availability and data security are absolutely paramount. They're critical. You want to avoid SAP outages, SAP services outages as much as possible. But if there is a problem, then you want the fastest possible recovery time. You also want to avoid negative impacts of security problems, not only on your business operations, but also on your reputation with your customers. Improving time to market. S4HANA is going to give you the ability to better understand the market, what your customers want. So you need an infrastructure that helps you deliver new products and services faster, hopefully before your competition does. So when your development team has got a great idea for a new product or service, or your marketing team wants to launch a new promotion, your infrastructure needs the flexibility to spin up the SAP instances quickly, whether it's on premises, in the cloud, or a hybrid model. And lastly, reducing administration. So routine system admin and troubleshooting can be time consuming and labor intensive. So you want your IT staff to spend more time supporting business innovation and less time with like config management and just keeping the lights on. So and obviously SUSE delivers a rich set of capabilities around this beyond just the OS. It isn't just an OS, and in the terms of the SAP world, it should be viewed as a lot more than just the OS, and this will hopefully help achieve your goals of business growth, customer retention, and operational excellence. So to keep SAP services up and running 24/7, we provide an automated system feature recovery, a recovery feature, that in the event of a major system problem is only going to take a few seconds to switch to a backup system. Now, when hackers create security exposures for the OS, SUSE creates patches that can be applied while the SAP services are running. So the systems don't even have to be taken down or even slowed down for that update. Customers finding that invaluable. And we're also providing tools that help your IT staff find potential problems and try and take corrective action before services are affected. Obviously, prevention better than cure, as we all know. Deploying services faster on premises and in the cloud. Tools here to fully automate the installation process, including the SAP software stack. Speeding up migration to S4 by importing sizing information and using the config information to automatically install the new environment. And we've got a whole host of best practices documented in the SAP notes that are fully integrated into our wizard, our installation wizard process, so that there's no additional time needed for tuning. That's all built in, and we've developed that with SAP. And from reducing complexity scenario, we're going to give SUSE, we've got IT, give your IT staff excuse me, the tools to spend less time managing the infrastructure so that they can help the business deliver value-added services. We can provide a dashboard that is going to ensure all your systems have got the correct configurations and software levels, and updates that can be performed automatically with an update scheduling tool that will patch all the systems automatically as per your schedule. Several maintenance tools that are either fully automated, or provide a wizard that will guide the sysadmin through the process for config update and troubleshooting. And also quickly use the dashboards for a kind of at a glance view of system performance and to try and quickly locate any issues or problems. And last but not least, we've got experts all around the world who work with SAP to provide a 24/7 priority support to quickly resolve any problems that your staff can't fix on their own. And you can also take advantage of a variety of service offerings, either directly with ourselves or through our network of partners, to help you quickly design and deploy your new SAP landscape. I think all these things work better with a real life example. So taking a retail customer of ours that recently completed a migration, a transformation project to the public cloud, to S/4HANA on the public cloud. These are always, I think, the most compelling, and I'm sure what a lot of you are keen to hear about. So at the outset, this company, they had these four kind of primary goals. One was is for real-time cost transparency and control, so they can manage their spend and adjust their compute and storage services to meet the business demands. Two was improve delivery speed and agility, so that their SAP landscape is going to be responsive and highly resilient and secure. Reliability, improving their internal SLAs to their line of businesses via this new supporting IT infrastructure, and hopefully avoiding any risk of shadow IT. And lastly, exploring and innovating. So it's all about innovation and insights, and pulling the data and being able to interpret the data as quickly as possible and in the most constructive way possible to advance the business, and as it says there, to unlock hopefully some new commercial opportunities for growth. Now this particular customer was pretty pleased that, I mean, they ran their project very, very well, and to date all of their goals have been achieved, met, but it was all through appropriate planning, communication with all the partners and third parties, but basically, essentially, above all, ensuring that the supporting IT infrastructure was going to be up to the job from the word go. Now, that brings us on to, I think, what I always get asked the most by customers is, right, you've helped a lot of customers transform as far as their SAP landscapes are concerned, whether that's staying on premises, whether it's moving wholly to the public cloud, or a mix or a hybrid. So what are the nuggets, as it were, that have come out? And these are lessons learned that have come from several customers that we've worked with. So I've tried to kind of condense them all here for you onto one slide so you can see them all. So it's essentially, a lot of these may seem very obvious, but it's amazing how many times these get overlooked and missed. So before anything happens, you've got to fully define the ERP strategy. Know exactly where you are and where you want to get to, because if you don't have that right from the word go, and you haven't done full discovery, as it were, up front, then you're not going to get off to a good start. Ensuring full and appropriate C-level authorization and sponsorship from the word go. So you've got to have C-level sponsor right from the off, because otherwise, if you run into problems and you don't have that go-to person at C-level, it's going to delay things an awful lot. So making sure that person, that sponsorship is in place, that person is appraised to the level they need to be about the project at regular intervals, that will make continuing the project on a smooth basis a lot easier. Obviously, build the right project team. That's you'd say that's a given, but it's surprising how many people thought, oh, I didn't bring that person in from the start. I didn't bring that person in from the start. So make sure you kind of look almost outside the obvious to make sure you've got a full project team that will cover off all aspects of your potential transformation. This is an absolute key, and we recommend this to all of our customers, is engaging all your partners as soon as possible. So whether it's us or somebody else, your OS vendor, your CSP if you're taking your estate off to public cloud, your IHV if you're keeping some on premises, or if they're your current IHV supplier, your services partner, your SAP partner, SI, global SI, all of those people need to be involved as soon as possible in order to help you with your planning, because they've got a lot of expertise in their field that they can contribute to your plans, not only just at the beginning but also during and after. So make sure you bring those people in as early as possible. Planning for archival and decommission, if you're talking about on-premises kit that needs to be dealt with, that's got to be strategically dealt with. And obviously more and more these days from a data integrity perspective. Researching all the best practices, so once you've got all your kind of component parts of your transformation project in place, you need to go through all of those vendors, all of those products, and make sure that you've gathered all of the best practice information and discussed that with those vendors. During the transformation, obviously you've got to schedule all the updates and upgrades as you go along, and stay to those timelines, stay on target for your go live as much as that is possible. We all know that this will probably slip at some point, but the more you stay on top of all these aspects, the bigger chance you've got of making your go live date or something near to it. Although officially supported by SAP, the general practice and advice is avoid level 0 releases of a version of a particular product. We all know, I think, the reasons for that. You know, it's not quite settled, there's a few bugs to iron out, etc. Again, that may seem obvious, but worth putting out there. Going back to the before thing that mentioned about engaging with partners, keep those communications regular, because there may be product updates, feature updates on any component part of your transformation project that will make a difference to the outcome, or indeed to the planning, to the implementation schedule, etc. Yeah, essentially just make sure you keep your communication levels up with all parties involved as much as possible. Then after, it's making sure you invest in staff training, appropriate staff training, whether that's in your basis team, whether it's in your IT team. Take advantage of whatever training is needed, required, and or optional, and pursue that, because again that will help the smooth running of the SAP operations going forward. Make sure you've got a full maintenance plan in place once the implementation has been, essentially once you're post-production. And as I've already mentioned, keeping all of those component parts updated as you go on, because we've had so many customers who've installed, say, the OS and then kind of let it slip, and therefore it becomes less secure, it becomes less performant, and affects the overall performance of the SAP applications and landscape as a whole. So all of these things, as I say, have been gleaned from various customers that we've worked with on projects, and have said, yeah, these are things that if we were doing it again, we would go back and make sure we had all of these boxes ticked before we progressed. So, as mentioned earlier, when you're migrating to S/4HANA, there's these three things to consider to ensure your productivity, reduce your time to market, and reduce your admin. And first is productivity in your business operations. So you need, for the systems, your SAP applications to run on, to have a near zero downtime. This includes planned downtime for fixes, unplanned downtime for system failures, and data security breaches. And SUSE delivers many kind of innovative features to reduce or even eliminate planned and unplanned downtime, and to provide enhanced protection for data systems. For SAP applications, which is our essential, our optimized OS for SAP environments, has got a full HADR solution built in. It's not an add-on option. That SAP is certified to manage NetWeaver clusters, and it also uses additional features that reduce downtime for SAP HANA systems by automating the failover and recovery. Persistent memory technologies like Intel Optane, NVDIMMs, and IBM Power Systems Virtual PMEM are also all supported to reduce the recovery time of SAP HANA systems after reboots. Now, when Linux kernel vulnerabilities, I mentioned this earlier, threaten SAP systems, you can deploy patches with SUSE Linux Enterprise Live patching while your systems are running, without the need to immediately reboot them, and this keeps your systems secure and your business operations running. And also, we offer an enhanced security feature to protect data in your SAP systems. An SAP HANA, excuse me, an SAP HANA firewall protects your HANA systems from malicious attacks, and a key server enables encryption and decryption of data in remote storage systems. So both of those features, as I say, are all built into SLES for SAP applications. Now, today, and I should have mentioned this at the top, I was hoping to have one of my pre-sales colleagues, Steve, join me, but unfortunately he's indisposed. So any of the technical aspects of what I'm talking about here, if you've got in-depth questions, then I'll certainly take those at the end or outside of this session and feed them back to Steve and get you your answers if it's anything I can't answer myself. So just want to throw up a few more examples of customers that we've worked with who are public references for us. So Babas, they're a leading manufacturer of food products, spice powders and food mixes and snacks, and to maintain their competitive position and meet the demands of their customers, they chose to engage in a large-scale digital transformation project and migrate their on-premises ERP systems to SAP S for HANA in the cloud. That's going from Microsoft ERP to SAP. Now, as far as the solution's concerned, working with a consultant, Babas chose us in the Microsoft Azure cloud, took full advantage of the deployment automation with high availability to speed up the provisioning while reducing the errors. They also used the best practices performance tuning, and as a result, they've improved the performance and cut order processing and delivery time in half, and reduced their order to cash cycles by more than 40%. Again, they're following a lot of the best practices that I've talked about earlier in the session. So delivering new SAP services faster. So as I meant, going back to the opening slide, delivering these services a lot faster, improving time to market for your products. You're going to need, as I mentioned, an IT infrastructure that's got the speed and flexibility to quickly deploy new services. And SUSE supports S/4HANA deployment speed on premises and in the cloud. So SLES for SAP applications includes this automated installation with all the built-in best practices for configuration and tuning that eliminate the need to pore through all the SAP notes. I think if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, I think all the SAP notes associated with deploying and configuring an OS for SAP deployments is about the size of Lord of the Rings. So to actually have taken all of this work out and automated it for customers is something that everyone's most grateful for. And as I say, this is just one example of what we work on with SAP in the Linux labs over in Germany on a day-to-day basis. So this automation's most easily accomplished in a repeatable fashion with salt-based scripts that can be used consistently for on-premises and cloud implementations. Now, the process now installs not just the Linux OS, but the entire SAP software stack with high availability. And this, of course, can reduce your installation time from several days to several hours. Now, we were the first to introduce this install wizard for on-premises automated deployment, and we've worked with all the major cloud services providers like AWS and Google and Microsoft to deliver pre-built optimized images that provide the same functionality as an on-premises deployment, all fully SAP certified. So we also, of course, support cloud deployments for Alibaba and IBM Cloud. So if your cloud services provider preferences change, you've got or you've got a multi-cloud strategy going on with your transformation, you've got the ability, flexibility there, the security that you can switch with minimal effort between them. So reducing downtime and the time and effort to manage the SAP infrastructure is just as critical for cloud implementations. However, adding capabilities like the live kernel patching and infrastructure management to the on-demand pay-as-you-go deployments can be complicated as compared to, say, on-premises, which is somewhat simpler. And they vary by cloud provider. At SUSE, we give you the pay-as-you-go subscriptions for SAP, additional entitlements to our SUSE live patching and SUSE Manager lifecycle management modules at no additional charge. So essentially, if you're deploying on, say, Azure, and you choose to consume SUSE for SAP through the marketplace on a pay-as-you-go basis rather than owning the SUSE subscriptions yourselves and taking them to the cloud, then we now have, and this was as of about 3 or 4 months ago, live patching and SUSE Manager, our configuration management solution, all rolled in to that same pay-as-you-go price. And a lot of customers are now starting to take advantage of that. It's particularly with the live patching bonus, because as I mentioned earlier, that's absolutely critical for customers who are not looking to take down a HANA server to apply patches to the Linux kernel. So all the customers who've acquired SLES for SAP from a CSP in the past and going forward have the option to use those additional entitlements. So for users of AWS and Google and Azure that use the respective CSP provided updated infrastructure, the entitlements are enabled automatically, so you should get access to them if you've already got it running. And then users of other cloud platforms can contact their CSP to obtain the entitled subscription keys, if of course you haven't already done so. So just to come back to another example, NIIT Technologies. Now their challenge was to be, they want to be competitive in the computer services industry, where businesses are expecting instant time to market and around the clock availability. And NIIT were under tremendous pressure to ensure rapid and continuous delivery of services. They chose SUSE Enterprise Server for SAP because they were 50% less than Unix and Windows Server. It was recommended for SAP ERP solutions and compatible with all other key components in their infrastructure, like VMware. It was a very, very tight relationship with VMware. The results then were that they reduced the time spent on admin tasks by about 30% using the built-in config tools and patch management and other server tasks. And now, of course, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the staff have freed up their time to focus on more kind of value-add tasks and optimizing processes to improve services for the clients. So again, just another example, and again, these references are public. They're available for you to interrogate, and of course what we can do is also set up calls with these companies if you wanted to have a chat with them about how they went about their transformation project. So the third thing, the final thing, to consider is how to reduce the system admin of what can be a very complex infrastructure. So I mentioned earlier about the third thing, managing complex systems. So supporting more SAP workloads on premises, in the cloud, or both can of course increase the complexity of your operations. Time that the IT staff spends on troubleshooting the problems is, as we've mentioned, time taken away from being innovative and trying to drive revenue and reduce costs. Now, the solutions we've got for SAP systems foster innovation by automating and simplifying routine maintenance tasks. So SLES for SAP includes monitoring tools that can automatically collect system data as well as SAP app data. And with SUSE Manager, the console, the configuration management console I mentioned, or a third-party monitoring tool, SAP basis admins are going to be able to identify potential problems early and take action to avoid outages. Now, we've recently announced a new open source project called Trento that will consolidate the monitoring and visualization into one single console, making it even easier for customers to get access to that kind of single pane of glass view. And the built-in tooling are going to help administrators more effectively troubleshoot the complex process of SAP's HANA system replication. Now, upgrading SAP HANA software is a straightforward process unless it's in a cluster. So SLES for SAP applications takes some of the complexity out of managing that cluster during the software upgrade. And similarly, SUSE Manager includes features beyond SAP system provisioning. So it can automate aspects of system management like configuration management and patch management for all environments, so that you can ensure your systems are in compliance with corporate or regulatory requirements. And of course that is becoming more and more critical by the day. And unlike other solutions, it runs on multiple Linux and hardware platforms. So And if you've got, for instance, a mixed Linux estate, so if you're running SUSE and say Red Hat, then SUSE Manager will actually manage all of your Linux instances from that one single console. So you wouldn't actually need to run, in that example, Red Hat Satellite to manage all your Red Hat instances. You can actually manage SUSE and Red Hat from one single console in SUSE Manager. And that's something, again, we've got a lot of customers who've got mixed Linux environments and they absolutely love that feature. It saves you the cost and the burden, if you like, admin burden of running two admin consoles. Now, so obviously, since the SAP systems are mission critical, it's important to maintain stable operations. And this is where we deliver a number of products and features to manage the complexity of your customers, of your infrastructure. But eventually, there's going to be a question or there's going to be a problem. And SLES for SAP subscription includes 24/7 priority support. But customers can actually, if they've got SLES for SAP, can go straight to SAP and raise a ticket with SAP if they don't know whether it's an OS issue or an application issue, and SAP and SUSE sort it out in the background. So it's a kind of one throat to choke scenario where you only have to raise one ticket and not kind of play vendor ping pong trying to sort out the issue. And life cycle is absolutely key here, because with SLES for SAP you can have up to 13 years for a SLES for SAP application version. So that's 4.5 years thrown in completely up front. That's priority support. You can stay on one service pack for up to 5 years. Now, we all know that you can't take down your HANA servers very often for maintenance purposes, but if you've got scheduled maintenance windows, then 5 years is going to give you plenty of time to schedule those in, or 4.5 years is going to give you plenty of time to schedule those in and not worry about your SUSE for SAP OS going out of support because you're not ready to take down the HANA server and actually perform all your upgrades. So it gives you a lot of comfort, flexibility by having that extended life cycle in there. So just the final example is Bosch. Now their challenge was to integrate new online services with core business processes and data stored in their ERP systems as part of the overall business strategy with new digital services through SAP HANA, and of course to improve their scalability. So what they did was they looked to expand their existing x86 64-bit server infrastructure for SAP HANA to include IBM Power Systems, all running on SLES for SAP. That's SLES for SAP for IBM Power. We have a version specific for IBM Power, with SUSE Manager, of course, to automate the routine admin and patching. And SUSE Linux Enterprise Live Patching is also actually being evaluated now to roll out to further improve their business continuity for all the reasons I've already mentioned. So the results there was that they substantially reduced the time for routine maintenance, despite doubling the number of instances from, I think it was 100 to 200 in that case. And running SAP HANA with SLES for SAP on Power Systems, they delivered them the flexibility to combine the scale up and scale out configurations based on the business needs. So just a little bit about SUSE and SAP before I close off and recap here is why do customers choose SUSE from an SAP perspective? Well, we've been a leader in delivering innovative solutions on open source platforms for over 20 years now with SAP, and roughly 85% of all SAP HANA deployments globally are on top of SUSE technology. Specifically in the SAP on Linux space, we are the market leader, but we don't do it alone. We have a broad set of hardware vendors, virtualization partners, and of course cloud partners. I've already mentioned a few of them, with whom we work to deliver these SAP platforms to meet the diverse set of customer requirements that there are. Since the introduction of SAP HANA, SAP has consistently delivered and developed applications first on top of SUSE technology. So we have SUSE engineers dedicated to working with SAP engineers to deliver a fast, reliable infrastructure. I mentioned that earlier with the joint staff in the Linux labs in SAP in Germany. And SLES for SAP is also now an SAP endorsed app. So for any of you who don't know what that is, that's a new category of solutions from SAP's partner ecosystem to help customers become best run intelligent enterprises. So SLES for SAP is is one of only 15 offerings in this category on the SAP App Store in the endorsed app section, and the only Linux product in there as well. So and this category of products are those that SAP regard as proven solutions to complement and extend SAP products and to deliver value quickly and easily with support from SAP. And as well as our accredited, SUSE installation partners and consulting partners across the world that I've already mentioned, SUSE's got a significant number of systems engineers placed throughout the globe who have had special training in implementing SAP solutions to help SAP customers not only quickly and confidently deploy the new solutions, but also optimize their environment with proactive maintenance and support. And SUSE prides itself in delivering this open, innovative approach with features that are going to help transform additional SAP infrastructures to one that delivers the full value of S/4HANA. Now, SAP is actually also a very long-standing customer of SUSE. So the vast majority of what SAP run day to day on is on top of SUSE technology. So you can imagine it gives a lot of customers a lot of comfort that they know, well, if it's good enough for SAP to run on, then surely it's good enough for us. And you know that it's going to be watertight in terms of security and integrity, and of course performance optimization, because SAP are running on it. So ultimately, these features help you ensure that your SAP environment has minimal downtime, secure data, and can be deployed quickly with optimal performance. And built-in automation and ease of use features are going to reduce the time and effort that your IT admin spends on routine maintenance. So just to recap, because I'm pretty much done. We talked about strengthening your IT supporting infrastructure and ultimately to deliver, to improve your service delivery, deploy services much faster, and help with the complexity of systems management, because we all know that is huge. And you talk to any basis admins on this call, or anybody who's a basis admin, is, I would imagine, going to support what we've just said there. So going back to things like the lessons learned and your best practice approach to transformation projects, make sure you plan thoroughly from start to finish. Be mindful of any lessons learned from other SAP customers. And again, I mentioned from our customer reference catalogue, we're happy to introduce you. And if you want to have a chat with a customer who's a public reference customer, we also have customers who aren't public references but are also happy to have a chat with other SAP customers to talk them through how they went about their approach to their transformation project. Engaging with your once you've identified your key vendors and partners, software partners, then engage with those individually and as a team as early as possible, as a kind of group project team as early as possible. We had one customer, very large customer, who last year got everybody in the room, all of those, OS vendor, CSP, services provider, their existing IHV, their archival and decommissioning partner. We all sat in there, their SAP team internally, their IT team internally. There was about 18 people in the room. We spent 4 hours going through their project, start to finish, and it's amazing how much the project detail changed throughout that 4 hours. And the guy running the project said, if I hadn't done that, that would have taken weeks and weeks, and we would have missed important recommendations from each of those vendors that would have had a massive impact on the project as they went further towards production and rollout date. So not an easy thing, of course, to organise. Probably easier on a video call, but we were all in a room there. We probably struggle to do that at the moment with all the COVID restrictions, but certainly try and do it on a video call as often as possible throughout your project, because it's amazing how much just conversation rather than emails, etc., will uncover those little nuggets where you could tweak a configuration in one of the project products and the corresponding tweak in, say, the Azure platform, if you like, to complement that fully and take advantage of that fully and best benefit your project. Absolutely invaluable. So that's one of the biggest things I think you should try and take away from this, is to make sure that you work that into your plan. Obviously, once you've identified who's going to be your OS, your CSP, etc., then leverage all the best practice information you can from those vendors. They should have them all. We have a plethora of best practice information, and happy to share that at any point. Everybody should have that. All of your vendors should have that available to you freely, and that needs to be investigated and thoroughly absorbed in order to successfully and comprehensively plan your project. And then, of course, once it's all up and running and the transformation has tipped over into go live, then making sure you're planning and scheduling all necessary updates and upgrades on an ongoing basis. It's just good housekeeping, and it will pay dividends. So lastly, I just want to mention, we've talked about all these references. We've got SUSE.com/success is our reference, customer reference catalogue. You can search there, as you can see, by region, solution, product, industry. You've got a few examples at the top there. One's SAP, one's Kubernetes, etc. So you can search it by, for instance, SLES for SAP and your particular vertical, to see like customers across the world who've gone through these projects, and you can hopefully glean some of their information and gain benefit from it in planning your project. And then, of course, as I say, if you wanted to reach out to me and talk about specific projects and specific customers on that customer success catalogue, and arrange calls, then please do so, and we'll be happy to look to try and set that up. So on that note, conscious of time, that I've been speaking for 40 odd minutes, and I'm sure you've probably had enough. So I will stop there, and thank you all very much for your time and attention. I hope you found it useful. Jacob, is there any questions that I can either answer or attempt to, or pass on to my colleague?
Thanks, Alan. I've got the one at the minute, which I think you did touch on a little bit afterwards. What does level 0 releases mean in the lessons learned slide you had?
Right, yes, and good question. I'll just clarify that. So, for instance, if we have a GA, general availability release of, say, SUSE, we're at SLES for SAP version 15. That had a GA version, if you like. That's the same as a 0 level version. So where you would normally then wait for Service Pack 1, because by that time a couple of the little niggles have been ironed out, shall we say. A couple of little bugs have been ironed out that have been discovered, and the product is then more settled at that version level if you just wait for the first Service Pack rather than going for GA or level 0. That's what that means.
Brilliant, thank you. There's no more questions at the moment. I just want to thank Alan and everyone at SUSE really for speaking and booking this webinar in. I'd like to thank everyone who attended. And as I say, you can go and visit SUSE at UKISO Connect if you are joining us.
Yeah, please do. We'll be delighted to stack you up with some SUSE goodies and have a chat.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Alan. Hope everyone has a lovely day.
Yeah, good
Bye
day
now.
to everyone, and thanks everyone for your time, and thank you, Jacob.
Thanks, Alan.